You spend hours trying to find the perfect credit card. And once you find it, you plug in all of your information, then hit submit. But once you have done that, you'll see something on the screen that says, sorry, unfortunately we cannot approve your application at this time. You will receive a letter in the mail within 7 to 10 days with our explanation. Then days go by, then you receive a letter stating that you cannot be approved for this credit card due to some XYZ reason. If this has happened to you recently, then you came to the right place. In this video, I'll go over some common scenarios of why and what to do when you get denied for a credit card. What's up, winners? My name is Nam. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance and credit. Start out by subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos. There are 3 ways of getting approved. One is by getting approved automatically by the computer. The second is a delayed approval, but still this is done by a computer. And then there is 3, which is through a real human. Now, this may not be the exact case for every bank or credit union out there, but this is commonly seen with a lot of lenders. Now let's actually take a look at some real life scenarios of why you may get rejected and how you would deal with them. First off, if you are a person with a lot of delinquencies such as charge-offs, collections, bankruptcies, or late payments, then that's probably the reason why credit card companies are denying your application. Especially if you are trying to get a credit card with some of the big issuers like Chase, American Express, or Bank of America. Depending on how recent these delinquencies are, it's going to be very difficult to get in with these issuers. Your credit score would also reflect this as well. Any type of delinquencies or negative marks on your credit report will bring your credit score down. Even though each credit card issuer will have thresholds for a FICO score that they are looking for, there's really no way to know exactly what is the number because it really depends on other factors such as where you live, when did you apply, the economic situation, and so many others. So if this is the case for you, then your best bet is to attempt to repair your credit, pay down your debts, and look for other sources to help rebuild your credit rather than getting new lines of credit. If you want to learn more about certain ways of removing delinquencies from your credit report, I do have a lot of videos here on my YouTube channel. I also have some free resources down in the description, and if you like, I do have a full credit repair masterclass that shows you the exact techniques that I use personally in my credit repair business. The first reason of why you may get denied for a credit card is that you may see on a letter stating that the maximum unsecured credit is already available. You will generally see this whenever you apply for another credit card from the same lender. So for instance, if you're planning to apply for Bank of America, Chase, or US Bank, they can only underwrite you for a certain amount of credit. And this is based off your income level and credit score. So the way around this is that you would have to call up the Reconsideration hotline and say that, hey, based on my rejection letter, I understand that I already received the maximum amount of credit that I qualify for. But if you can reduce the credit limit for one of my cards or across all of my cards and put that limit towards a new card if that's a possibility. Your mileage may vary with this. I have seen personal success with this when I applied for another Barclays card, but there's also times where I got denied. Another denial reason is by having too many inquiries within the last 12 months or in a specific time frame. This is pretty self-explanatory. This just means that you are desperate for credit. If you are applying for too many credit cards in a short period of time, credit card issuers, they really don't like seeing that. The only way around this is by looking for certain credit card issuers that pull from a certain credit bureau. Probably the credit bureau that a lot of credit card companies pull from is Experian. While they may pull from TransUnion and Equifax, but what I saw from my own personal data points and others is that if you have a lot of hard inquiries on Experian, it's usually more difficult to get approved. So unless you're trying to get a credit card that pulls specifically towards TransUnion or Equifax, you really lower your odds if you have a lot of inquiries with Experian. Another little hack that people try to do is by placing a security freeze with Experian. So it forces the credit card issuer to pull from a different credit bureau. There has been data points showing that this may work, but your mileage may vary because sometimes the issuer may tell you that, hey, you need to unfreeze Experian before we can actually approve your application. Next is not having enough accounts open long enough to establish a credit history. So normally with most banks and credit unions, they want to see that you have at least 1 year of a credit history. But how do you get credit history without credit history? It's like trying to get an entry-level job that requires 3 years of experience. So you get the point. But you might be asking, how do I get my first credit card if I have no credit at all? So there are a couple of routes that you can take. The first one that you can do is actually by applying for a secure card. These are generally pretty easy to get applied for since it's just required to have a security deposit of around $200 or more. Once you have established a card, then you would just use it for expenses, and then you should establish a credit score within 6 to 12 months. Another route that you can take is by getting a secured loan. There are plenty of fintech companies out there that offer credit builder loans. The way that this works is that they take out a loan on your behalf to save $500. You would then have to pay off that loan within a certain time frame, and once you paid it off, you would just get that money back minus any interest. Not only this will help you establish a credit score, but it will also add some diversity in your mixed accounts of that portion of the FICO credit score. Another route that can be used to combat a denial is by actually applying in branch. Depending on the credit card that you are trying to apply for, just make sure that it is beginner friendly, like a 0 annual fee card that's targeted towards new users. For instance, the Bank of America Cash Rewards card, this card can easily be applied for in branch and get approved for individuals who have no credit history whatsoever. Because normally, you get better chances of getting approved for this card if you are already a customer with that institution. So if you are trying to apply for the Chase Freedom Flex card, but you have no relationship with Chase Bank, then the chances of you getting denied are much higher if you don't check any other boxes. Another hack that you can use for credit history is that if you were to get added on as an authorized user by certain issuers, they report the entire credit history of that particular card and not just the history of when you just got added. So this can be anywhere between 2, 5, or even 10 years whenever the account was open. But again, this mainly applies to certain credit card issuers, so at the making of this video, these issuers are Capital One, Discover, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Next is the lack of installment loan information. Now, this is pretty rare when it comes to credit card applications because issuers, they tend to look more at revolving lines of credit rather than installment lines of credit. But if this is the case, this means that most likely you have never had a loan before. This can either be an auto loan, student loan, mortgage, or even a personal loan. The way to combat this is by actually getting an installment line of credit. I'm not saying to get into debt just for the sake of credit, but there are plenty of companies out there such as SeedFi, Self, and many others that offer secure loans that can help you build an installment line. Another common denial reason is by opening up too many credit card accounts or accounts within a certain amount of time. Chase is pretty well known for having this 524 rule, even though they would never admit it. Though they have been loosening up this rule as of late, there has been many data points saying that partner cards generally allow 624, such as the Amazon or the United Chase credit cards. But additionally, you may get denied because you have authorized user accounts. For instance, if you were added onto your partner's or family members' accounts, this will be counted as an account open within the last 24 months. On the other hand, if you open up accounts under your name and social security number, there's really no way around this unless you just let time pass. But if you have authorized user accounts, you can always call up the Reconsideration hotline. Your mileage may vary because there has been many data points where credit card applications have been reversed, but there has been many times where lenders or the person on the other side really does not care. So you gotta play this one by ear. Another common rule with popular credit card companies such as American Express is the 4-card rule, meaning that you can only hold 4 credit cards at one time. They also have this 1 in 5 rule, which means that you're going to get 1 card every 5 days and 2 cards in 90 days. Bank of America has something very similar. They have the 2-3-4 rule. I'm not going to get into deep with Bank of America here, but you're going to open up a maximum of 4 Bank of America accounts in a rolling 24 months. Other banks such as Citibank, Barclays, and many others have similar rules. So it's always good to do some due diligence before applying for any credit card just to better gauge your odds. The next reason is the total credit applications when compared to the total income that you provided. So whenever you hear this, this is typically a debt to income ratio problem, meaning that based on your credit card debts or payments and also loan payments exceed the amount of income that you make. This tends to be a big problem to lenders. Because if you were to think about it, if you were to have extremely high debt, it really does not make sense for them to give you more debt because the likelihood of you paying them back becomes less. So the way to combat this is by essentially by lowering your credit card debt to the best of your ability. Depending on the installment line of credit, whether it is an auto loan, personal loan, or even a mortgage, the lower these balances are, the higher chances of the credit card issuers approving your application. I get that some of these loan balances can be relatively high, so it can take some time to lower these balances, but the key is to lower your credit card balances as quickly as possible. So I know that in this video, I've talked a lot about calling up the credit card issuer and asking to reconsider application. So there are plenty of resources online where you can find this hotline for every credit card issuer. Probably the best resource out there is the Doctor of Credit website. I'll link their website down in the description below. Before you actually call the reconsideration hotline, make sure that you actually have the letter in hand when you're about to call them. Because reconsideration is not a thing unless you get a denial letter. So if you got a delay response, it's possible that the algorithm is still reviewing your information before approval. So do not call this reconsideration hotline unless you have a reference number or a physical letter in hand. If you have any other questions of why you might have gotten denied, please let me know in the comments. I try to get to as many as I possibly can. If you want to learn other ways of increasing your credit score, come hang out with me with these videos right here.